Now, have you heard about this? This is a big story today, Operation Varsity Blues.
The accusations range from paying thousands of dollars for higher SAT scores to presenting students as top athletes in sports they never even played.
I mean, some of these parents allegedly paid up to $6.5 million, which is insane. Honestly, for that amount of money, just buy a smarter kid.
Worst aunts ever.
From co-starring with a young Keanu Reeves to joining the cast of Full House, Lori Loughlin became a household name and was loved as America's favorite aunt. She married a successful fashion designer and they started a family in Bel Air. They were the perfect family the media loved to show, until greed got the best of them.
The couple's been accused of paying $500,000 to get their two daughters into USC by using false athletic profiles.
When I had children, I always thought, I don't want to do anything that one day might rear its ugly head and my children have to pay the price for that.
Actress Lori Loughlin waking up in federal prison this morning.
This is the story of the most famous family involved in the federal investigation known as Operation Varsity Blues. This video is sponsored by Atlas VPN. If you couldn't tell, I am a big fan of documentaries, with some of my favorites shown right here on screen. Thanks to Atlas VPN, I now get access to documentaries and shows shown in other countries that I wouldn't be able to access otherwise. Right now, Atlas VPN is running a huge discount, one that includes a 3-year subscription for just $1.99 a month with a 30-day money-back guarantee by clicking the link in the video description below. The one thing that Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Disney Plus all have in common is something called geo-restrictions due to licensing rights. This means that hundreds of exclusive shows may not be available to you based on your location. With Atlas VPN, you can bypass geo-restrictions, access your favorite content from around the world, enjoy blazing speeds, or upgrade your gaming experience at lightning-fast speed, and get the best deals when shopping online. One thing I really appreciate about Atlas VPN is that it protects unlimited devices, meaning Atlas VPN protects all your devices with a single subscription. It blocks all malicious links, ads, and trackers, and notifies you when someone is trying to steal your data. Right now, Atlas VPN is running a huge discount. It means you can get a 3-year subscription for just $1.99 a month with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Time is running out, so get your deal by clicking the link in the video description below. Thank you to Atlas VPN for sponsoring this video. Lori Ann Loughlin was born on July 28, 1964 in Queens, New York, to Joseph and Laura Lee Loughlin. Lori grew up in Hauppauge, Long Island, where she later graduated from Hauppauge High School. One day, when Lori was 11 years old, her mother's friend was driving to Manhattan to meet with a modeling agency to try and get her teenage daughter signed. They asked if Lori wanted to come along. Lori's mom was reluctant to let her go and didn't think anything would come of it, but she was wrong. Lori walked into Ford Modeling Agency and was signed that day to their children's division. Lori was featured in catalogs for JCPenney, Macy's, and Avon. Lori often worked with another young model named Brooke Shields, who was also signed by Ford. Interestingly enough, the movie role that catapulted Brooke into superstardom was allegedly offered first to Lori, but she turned it down. Lori broke into the acting world with a small role in the 1979 movie Too Far to Go. Her next break came on the show The Edge of Night, which was a mystery crime drama. Lori's character was an aspiring dancer, and Lori was featured on the show from 1980 to 1983.
Why do you want to go to video disco tonight, huh?
I like to dance.
Oh, great. Cha-cha-cha. All of a sudden you got these big-time dancing feet, huh?
Well, what's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that? We ain't been to that joint in 2 months. And all of a sudden you want to go every night. Why is that,
I don't know.
Well, you don't know. Well, maybe I'll help you out. I bet it's that punk Hamlin, isn't it?
So that's what this is about.
Lori graduated high school in 1982 and was voted most likely to succeed. Lori had several small roles after The Edge of Night, but her big break would come in 1987 on a brand new show called Full House. Lori joined the sitcom in its second season as Rebecca Donaldson, aka Aunt Becky. If you are familiar with Full House, you probably know Aunt Becky as a permanent character, but Aunt Becky was initially only set to appear in 6 episodes of Full House before the producers decided to make her role permanent. John Stamos played Jesse Katsopoulos. Jesse and Becky fell in love, went on to marry and have 2 twin boys, and Becky was known as the caring aunt to her nieces that she and her family lived with. Uncle Jesse was a young musician, Greek heartthrob, and the lovable bad boy of the show. Lori's character, Aunt Becky, was known on Full House for her common sense and quick wit. In an eerie coincidence, a storyline from a 1993 episode of Full House has Aunt Becky and Jesse facing a dilemma with their twins when they are forced to navigate the line between wanting what's best for their children and taking things too far. They're trying to get their young twin sons accepted into a prestigious preschool. But when Jesse realizes his boys likely won't get in, he blatantly lies on the school's application, sending the couple down a path of deception until Becky puts a stop to it. In the storyline, Aunt Becky tells the preschool administrators the truth, even at the risk of jeopardizing her children's futures. Exasperated, Becky says to Jesse, quote, "I know you want what's best for them, but you know what? Maybe the fast track isn't it. Our twins are normal, healthy kids, and whatever track they're on, they seem to be doing okay." End quote. This ethical decision on the part of Aunt Becky would be the polar opposite of what Lori Loughlin would later do in real life, but more on that later. Full House was a hit and ran for 8 seasons from 1987 to 1995. In 1994, Lori met the man who would become her second husband. He was a fashion designer, and his name was Massimo Giannulli. 1 year later, in 1995, Lori and Massimo eloped. Once Full House ended, Lori co-starred alongside Tony Danza in Hudson Street, but that sitcom was canceled after 1 season. If you've ever walked into a Target any time from the year 2000 to 2017, you've most likely seen Massimo's creations. In 2000, Massimo signed a licensing agreement with Target for his clothing company called Massimo that he created in 1986. Massimo was born in Los Angeles in 1963 and was raised in Encino, California, and he's been scheming since the beginning. In an exclusive 2016 interview with a fashion website called The Hundreds, Massimo unapologetically told the story of how he lied to his parents upon graduating high school when he told them he had been accepted into the University of Southern California in 1986. Once out of the house, Massimo fooled his parents by falsifying report cards, but that wasn't enough as Massimo needed money to live. So he created fake USC tuition bills and had his dad pay him the tuition money. Massimo then used the fake tuition money to fund his fashion company. Massimo said in the interview, quote, "USC was expensive, so that was how I was starting my company. I used all that cash." End quote. The first year Massimo pretended to go to college in 1986, he did screen printing jobs while starting his company. His first items in the Massimo brand were neon-colored volleyball shorts and t-shirts. Massimo went on to say, quote, "I used to have hundreds of thousands of cash in my top drawer, and I was like, this is kind of too easy. I need a bigger platform. If I had a bigger account base, I could really kill it." End quote. It appears luck was on his side. 8 years after starting his company, the Massimo brand was bringing in $72 million annually. Forbes even featured Massimo in their richest people under 30. In that same interview from the hundreds, Massimo said, quote, "Imagine having a stock worth $600 million and you're f***ing running that pig. You get a little cuckoo in the head," end quote. Massimo also said his first marriage collapsed because he began believing his own bullshit and admitted that leaving his 6-month-old son was a horrible thing to do, but he said he was partying several nights a week and it was good exposure for the brand. It seems Massimo might never have stopped believing his own bullshit, because 2016, the same year he gave this interview and unapologetically admitted to stealing from his parents, was around the same time he and Lori would pay a large sum of money to get their daughters into the same university Massimo pretended to go to. But more on that later. The couple gave birth to their first child, Isabella Rose, aka Bella, in September of 1998. A year later, in September of 1999, they had their second daughter, Olivia Jade. Online, Bella has kept a low profile, but Olivia would do the opposite, becoming a social media influencer and at her peak, having 1.9 million subscribers on her YouTube channel, where she posted makeup tutorials, shopping hauls, party vlogs, and subscriber giveaways. Olivia also included Lori in several of her videos, and those videos are some of her most viewed. Bella and Olivia attended an all-girls private Catholic high school in Los Angeles that cost over $37,000 annually per child. This totals almost $75,000 per year of high school for both Bella and Olivia, and is the same high school the Kardashian sisters went to. Bella would be accepted into University of Southern California ahead of Olivia, but more on that later. Olivia completed her last year of high school in 2018. By this time, she had an Instagram that boasted over 700,000 followers, announced that she was also accepted into USC, and was becoming well known on YouTube as a beauty guru and successful influencer. Olivia was being featured in multiple commercial endorsements and advertisements like Amazon's Prime Student campaign, where in one YouTube video about college dorm life, Olivia says, quote, "Amazon hooked me up with like everything in my dorm," end quote. Olivia also worked with Dolce & Gabbana, Marc Jacobs Beauty, Tresemme, and more. At the height of her influencer career, she created the Olivia Jade Bronzer and Illuminator palette with Sephora. This vlog shows the Sephora launch party for Olivia Jade. The music has been changed for copyright reasons. Everything was picture perfect for this famous family.
It's been nearly 30 years since Lori Loughlin made her debut in one of America's most beloved family sitcoms, Full House. And Full House fans know it's a role she's been reprising in Netflix reboot Fuller House, which is about to kick off its third season in September already.
By the way, she looks exactly the same.
It's very annoying.
We can't stand it. By the way, look at you with your lovely daughter, Isabella.
Hi.
Your hair.
Yeah.
How adorable. You're so proud of her.
Yeah.
Bella, are you going off to college and leaving your mom?
Yes.
She's not going far.
Not too far.
But you know
she's not going too far, but my husband keeps saying, Lori, you're not going to see her, so just be prepared.
That is true.
By the way, so many parents watching, I'm sure, are going through this, where they're about to watch a child go off to college. Kath, it happened to you.
Yeah, it's hard.
Are you preparing for it in any way?
I think I'm in complete denial.
Yeah?
I really am, because when I think about it too much, it will make me cry.
Really?
So I got to stop.
If you're lucky like I was at the same school with my daughter, she's still enrolled, but she hasn't been there for 5 years.
Bella, you want to study
Please don't do that.
You want to study acting, obviously.
I do.
And what do you? I mean, you're obviously already doing it, but where do you see yourself? What do you want to do in this field?
Probably movies or TV.
Yeah.
I just love all of it. It's so fun. Like,
You're
I'd be
born
happy
into
to
it.
do anything,
Yeah.
honestly.
It's in your DNA.
Kind of,
And your
yeah.
father's very artistic as
Yes,
well.
he is. He's very creative.
Massimo and Lori lived in a 12,000 square foot Mediterranean estate in Bel Air, with a layout featuring 7 bedrooms and 9 bathrooms, with all rooms overlooking the Bel Air Country Club golf course. Both their daughters attended the University of Southern California. Massimo had designed a new line of golf clothes and accessories, and Lori was starring in the Hallmark Channel's When Calls the Heart, plus the new Full House spin-off titled Fuller House. This family had it all, but behind the scenes, Massimo and Lori had secretly paid a total of $500,000 for their daughters to be accepted into USC. And now their picture-perfect life was only the calm before the storm. A storm that would come to be known by federal investigators as Operation Varsity Blues. Operation Varsity Blues was the name given to a federal investigation that looked into various wealthy individuals that bribed or cheated their children's way into top universities. The first person to notice something fishy and report it was a high school guidance counselor named Julie. Julie worked at a private school, and while going through a student's college application, she noticed something was off. The student had been accepted into several universities, including Georgetown, but as Julie stared at the college application, she couldn't make sense of why this student was listed as an African American student who was in the top 10 tennis players in California for her age group. Julie knew this student, and this student was a white female who didn't play tennis. After seeing such a wild discrepancy, Julie contacted her superiors as well as the universities the student applied to. The student was allowed to rescind her applications and reapply, but the student's father, who was also on the school's board, initially denied that an outside admissions consultant had been involved, but he would later change his story and admit an outside admissions consultant had been involved, a man named Rick Singer. Rick Singer was born in 1960 in Santa Monica, California. After high school, he played basketball and baseball at Trinity University in Texas. In the 80s, Rick started a career coaching at Sierra College in Sacramento, California, but he would eventually quit coaching to open a business in 2007 called The Key.
Hi, my name is Rick Singer, and I'm the founder of The Key. As a father myself, I understand the stress the college admissions process can put on your family. For the past 25 years, our coaches have been helping students discover their life passion and guiding them and their families through the complex college admissions maze. My Key method unlocks the full potential of your son or daughter and sets them on a course to excel in life. Getting into the right college will set the trajectory for the rest of your son or daughter's life. Don't leave it to chance. Let a Key coach come alongside you and your family to truly unlock your students' potential.
The Key was supposedly a college counseling service, and it did seem to operate as a legitimate company with some of its clients, but with many others, the Key was used as a racketeering enterprise. This is how the scam went down. Rick told wealthy parents he could get their children into prestigious universities through what he described as a side door. The front door meant getting in on one's own merit through hard work, whether that be intense studying and/or athletic ability. But Rick's side door meant getting students in via a bribe by mommy and daddy. In 2011, Rick began taking payments from wealthy parents for as much as $75,000 to boost their son or daughter's ACT or SAT scores. Rick was able to pull this off by bribing test proctors in both Los Angeles and Houston. Rick also bribed a psychologist to diagnose his favored students with learning disabilities so students received extra time while taking the ACT or SAT. This extra time allowed the bribed exam administrator to then doctor the test after the student handed them in, giving them a near-perfect score. In 2012, Rick founded the Key Worldwide Foundation. It was supposed to be a charitable organization that helped underprivileged youth, but authorities believe the organization was actually a front for bribes. Because it was listed as a charity with the IRS, any donations made by clients could be listed as tax deductions. These charitable contributions then went to Rick and his buddies. There were few sports that Singer wouldn't use to falsify a student's athletic profile. He liked to use lower profile sports that kind of flew under the radar, such as soccer, tennis, lacrosse, volleyball, swimming, water polo, or track and field. Rick said that basketball could work, but only for women, and even football if it was a specialty position like kicker or punter. But good old Rick had more than one method of getting students into these universities. Rick bribed a wide network of coaches and administration to nominate unqualified applicants as elite recruited athletes. By doing so, these nominations allowed students entrance into the university of their choice. To make these unathletic kids look legit, Rick would have students' faces photoshopped onto athletes' bodies for the applications. One of those friends that Rick Singer bribed was Yale's women's head soccer coach named Rudy Meredith. Rudy put a prospective student who didn't play soccer on a school list of recruits, doctored her supporting portfolio to indicate she was a player, and later accepted $400,000 from Rick Singer. Rick had his claws into personnel at Georgetown, Stanford, the University of California, UCLA, University of San Diego, University of Southern California, University of Texas at Austin, Wake Forest University, and Yale. Despite all his dodgy dealings, Rick wasn't hiding in the shadows. He published 2 books and tried to get a reality TV show for his business. In his reality show audition tape, Rick says, quote, "This is a game. My job is to life coach kids and families through the whole process of getting into college. It's unbelievable. It's so competitive to get your kid into school today." End quote. But where did Rick find these wealthy parents who would illegally pay handsome sums of money to get their children into school with fake test scores and fake athletic resumes? Through networking. One example includes the heiress to the Hot Pockets fortune who sat on a school board. Hot Pocket! Through the Hot Pockets heiress and other wealthy members of that school board, Rick gained access to an investment management firm called PIMCO. But not just PIMCO. Rick gained access through others to Morgan Stanley, Oppenheimer Financial, and UBS. Rick held lectures at these lucrative firms about the importance of setting children up with a solid education, and then he would promote his business, The Key. Through these lucrative connections is how Massimo and Lori met Rick and paid him a total of $500,000. Rick, Massimo, and Lori came up with the scheme that both daughters were rowers on a crew team. Massimo and Lori had both girls pose as rowers, and these pictures were submitted with their college applications that had them down as gold medal crew champions with skill sets of awareness, organization, direction, and steering. The truth was, neither Bella or Olivia Jade ever participated in crew. Olivia and Bella were happily enjoying their time at USC, although Olivia received backlash after saying in one of her 2018 YouTube vlogs about juggling college and influencer fame that she doesn't even know why she's going to college.
I don't know how much of school I'm going to attend, but I do want the experience of like game days, partying. I don't really care about school, as you guys all know.
Olivia would later take down the video and apologize. But less than 1 year after that video was posted in 2018, Olivia would no longer be in school. That's because Rick Singer had been quietly found out and approached by federal investigators, and in an effort to receive a lighter sentence, he was now secretly working with the FBI to incriminate many of the parents who paid him bribes. In fall of 2018, only a few months after Olivia Jade made her apology video, Rick would make a wiretapped phone call to Lori Loughlin as the feds listened in. In the FBI transcript, Rick is listed as cooperating witness number 1. The FBI has not released the full transcripts between Rick and many of the parents, but they did release part of Rick's wiretapped call with Lori. The following is word for word what the FBI has released between Rick Singer and Lori Loughlin. Rick says, "If you ever were to say anything," Lori replies, so we just have to say we made a donation to your foundation and that's it? End of story." Rick says, "That is correct." Lori replies, "Okay." Rick says, "Terrific." Lori says, Okay. Rick replies, "I just wanted to make sure I touched base because I didn't want you to all of a sudden, what's this call coming from?" Lori says, okay, totally, all right. So that's it. So it's the IRS. It's not anyone from USC. It's the IRS. Rick replies, "That is correct." Lori replies, "Okay, very good." In total, Rick made 34 phone calls of this nature, telling parents the IRS was auditing his foundation and they should not mention the bribes. After the feds felt they had enough to prosecute, they began making arrests, and the news hit the airwaves on March 12th of 2019.
It's the largest ever college admissions cheating scam exposed. 300 agents across 6 states, wiretaps, a year-long sting. This morning, 50 people arrested, most of them wealthy parents, all accused of trying to do the same thing, getting their kids into some of the most elite schools in the country.
Operation Varsity Blues, the massive sting exposing the ugly truth that admission to college can be bought, bartered, and stolen for some. A wiretap transcript details a father and Singer creating a plan to trick USC into thinking his son was a football kicker. The father laughing, telling Singer, "That's just totally hilarious," admitting his son's high school doesn't have a football team. Parents of students who applied to those schools but did not get in reacting overnight. One tweeting, "Makes me feel good that my son was waitlisted at Stanford and Rensselaer Poly. He did it on his own, but probably lost out to one of these kids." Those kids' parents now facing jail time include real estate moguls, wine vineyard owners, entrepreneurs like Todd Blake, who tweeted his excitement over his daughter's admission to USC, and trend expert Jane Buckingham, who posted this inspiring Instagram message last spring. "Don't cheat," it reads.
Lori was filming on the set of When Calls the Heart in Canada when the news broke. The next day, she took a plane to the US, and on March 13th of 2019, she and Massimo surrendered to the authorities. They were held in custody for a short time and later released on bail. 2 days later, the Hallmark Channel dropped Lori from its show When Calls the Heart, and soon after, Netflix removed her from the final season of Fuller House. with Olivia Jade as well.
One of Loughlin's old interviews has come back to haunt her.
When I had children, I always thought, I don't want to do anything that one day might rear its ugly head and my children have to pay the price for that.
Loughlin, who played Aunt Becky on Full House, is currently free on $1 million bond. She discussed morality with the Christian Broadcasting Network.
The morals are right. There's a message in every episode. How to be a good person, how to be a better person, right from wrong. It's a good message.
Prosecutors made it clear that they believed, in most cases, the children didn't know what their parents did to get them into college. But was this the case for Olivia Jade and Isabella? By the end of Operation Varsity Blues, 50 individuals were charged with fraud and bribery-related offenses by the FBI and U.S. Attorney's Office. The indictment against Lori and Massimo alleged that they paid $500,000 to the Key Worldwide Foundation so that the University of Southern California Admissions Committee would get the impression that both Bella and Olivia would join USC's women's rowing team. Neither girl had ever trained in that sport, and neither had any intention of joining the team. While all this was hitting mainstream media, Olivia and Bella were still enrolled at USC and were allowed to remain despite the controversy. Olivia never returned to the university, and Bella would soon withdraw. Lori and Massimo were intent on proving their innocence and spent a year arguing that they weren't guilty. But in May of 2020, they quickly changed their pleas to guilty after prosecutors released images of the two sisters posing on rowing machines. Sentencing took place on August 21st of 2020, and Lori was sentenced to 2 months in prison, while Massimo was sentenced to 5 months. Lori served her 2 months in prison and was out on December 28th of 2020. She was fined $150,000 and ordered to complete 100 hours of community service. At the time of this recording, she is currently under supervised release until December 2022. The DOJ did not make most of the court documents public, so unfortunately, I can't tell you exactly what Massimo said and did. But Massimo served 5 months in prison and was released on April 2nd of 2021. He was fined $250,000 and ordered to do 250 hours of community service. Although Olivia Jade was dropped by her sponsors and received major backlash online when the college admissions scandal broke, her career quickly recovered. She is still a YouTuber with over 1 million subscribers, maintains a career as an influencer, and was even on Dancing with the Stars in 2021. She finished in 8th place. Lori's career picked back up as well. Massimo and Bella have since maintained a low profile. Rick Singer continues to sing like a canary, and the FBI considers him a cooperating witness. Rick has pled guilty to 4 felonies, and at the time of this recording, has not seen the inside of a jail cell. Rick is still working with the FBI in an attempt to go after other parents who were involved in his college admission schemes. Another arrest was made as recently as April of 2022. It's unclear if Rick Singer will ever be sentenced or not. After the news broke, the reaction online came swiftly, and there was one thing most people online agreed upon: the unfairness of it all. People took to various platforms and shared their thoughts and experiences with college admission. One Twitter user shared, quote, "I graduated from college with a student loan debt of $100,000 because my family couldn't afford to send me to college. I worked during the school year and summer and had a small band scholarship. I may be in debt, but at least I earned my education." The other thing that frustrated a lot of people was how light Lori's sentence was. Lori's case drew parallels to that of Kelly Williams Bolar, an Ohio mother with no criminal record who lived in public housing and was taking college classes at night. Kelly's 2 daughters spent half their time at her father's house in another county, and in wanting to give her daughters a better education, Kelly was charged with falsifying an address, a felony, and sentenced to 3 years in prison and ordered to pay $30,000 for using her father's address instead of her own on her daughter's school records. To many Americans, the double standard was a glaring fact that we have two justice systems, one for the wealthy and one for everybody else. After Kelly's case became a national sensation, a judge reduced her sentence to 10 days in jail, 3 years probation, and 80 hours of community service. At the time of this recording, the U.S. government maintains that USC is a victim of fraud. It is one thing, prosecutors say, for a school to take into account the giving history of an applicant's family, but it's another for a family to secretly funnel money to an employee who helps admit a student who would have otherwise been turned away if not for their falsified credentials and the bribe money. Rick Singer's ghostwriter of his 2 books said Rick was simply willing to do what parents wanted done, which meant whatever it took to get their children into better colleges than their peers. She told USA Today, quote, "These parents tend to micromanage and make the kid the perfect little clone of themselves to show how perfect they are." This has been the twisted tale of the most famous family in the Varsity Blues college scandal. If you are a fan of learning about scams, cults, and cautionary tales, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an upload. Thank you for watching. My name is Josie, and I hope you come back for the next video.